Round and round we go. Loops in Java. Why do we want to know about loops? Because they save us a lot of time when we're doing things like traversing through arrays, for example. So let's see what a loop actually looks like. Well, one version is called the for loop. And if we open our brackets, we can say int I is equal to 0, semicolon, I is less than 100, semicolon, I plus plus. Open curly brace and close curly brace. So what does this do? Well, the first declaration is an integer called I, which we set to 0. So the loop starts with I equal to 0. The loop runs round and round until I is less than 100. If I hits 100, the loop will stop running. Each time the loop goes around, we add 1 to I by using the shorthand notation I plus plus. Let's see what that looks like. Let's have a system.out.println and let's feed ourselves back I and compile, then run, and watch the bottom screen. We loop through 100 times from 0 to 99. So that's what a loop does. It goes round and round until some condition is met and it stops executing. So now this is very useful if we have an array of stuff and we want to pass it back to ourselves. So string my strings is equal to open curly brace, and you can say something like word me Grant. Then close it off. What we can do with this is say for string value, that should have a space, sorry, value my strings system.out.println value, and close off your brace. So what this loop is doing is saying every time you encounter a value or an element inside of my strings, print it out. And then when the loop goes round again, it grabs the next element in line. So it'll start on this one, the first one, go to the next one, and finish with Grant. And if we compile and run that, we first get the 100 loop, and then word me Grant. So this is a nice shorthand way of getting all of the elements out of an array. There is another way of creating a loop, and this is called a while loop. And what a while loop needs is a counter for itself. So in the same way as the for loop had this I counter, what we have to do outside of the while loop is define our integer I equal to 0. Then we create a while loop and we say while I is less than 100, do the following code. So let's have our system.out.println of I. Then we need to manually add 1 to I each time we go round, I plus plus. Close off our while statement. So now compile that and run it. And there we have our second result. So a while statement is handy when you want to check for a certain condition, but you have to be very careful with while statements. If you forget to do something, for example, the I++, you can compile your program, but when you run it, it's going to run forever because it is stuck in a loop. And that loop will just go on and on and on. So be careful of that. I'm going to reset my project and put in my I++ again. Always make sure you have an exit condition from any of your loops.